Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing to take a look at the next week's slate in a massive ACC matchup as Duke heads on the road to play Louisville. Both these teams coming off losses, but I'm not selling stock in either of these programs. You take a look at Duke, they go on the road with a banged up quarterback against one of the best teams in college football and play really good 3 quarters of football, and obviously it gets away from them late. And then Louisville, they go on the road to Pitt, outgain Pitt 350 yards to 200 yards, 28 first downs to only 10 first downs, and they lose the game based on turnovers. You're looking at two really good bona fide teams in the ACC. This is going to be a really fun matchup to get into. Now, before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. The amount of support for all of these game breakdowns, it truly has been amazing. I love taking deep dives into these programs. But the best part about it is hearing from you guys in the comment section and all the support y'all show. So one, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, let me know in the comment section how you guys are feeling. Picks, predictions, keys to the game. Without further ado, let's get into this. And I want to start with this Duke offense going up against the Louisville defense that I think has surprised a lot of people. This was a really good defense last year. Lost some talent, weren't sure what you're going to get. This Louisville defense has been very, very physical up front and very stingy overall. And it's going to be a really interesting matchup because it's no secret what Duke wants to do on the offensive side of the ball. They're going to want to run the football, running it 57% of their offensive snaps. That's 24th in the country, and they're really good at doing it as well. Run number 10 in the country with 5.5 yards per carry. Waters and Moore, both averaging over 5.5 yards per carry. This is a Duke team that has some really good running backs, some athleticism at the quarterback spot, and a really good offensive line. And that's a good recipe for running the football. Now, the big matchup is, can they get the ground game going against a Louisville defense that has been really good against the running? Going back and watching that film against Notre Dame, how physical Louisville was against the Notre Dame offensive line is as good as they are. I mean, that was massive and kind of inspiring confidence for me in this Louisville defense. 3.1 yards per carry, number 17 in the country. A lot. I mean, that is a very, very good number for some of the offenses that Louisville's played. Louisville putting up some really nice numbers and stopping the run. And I think it starts up front. Right? Ashton Gelati, Stephon Heron, TJ Quinn at that linebacker spot. Really, really good front seven that'll load some bodies up to stop the run because I think they have a lot of confidence in their cornerbacks who've only been allowing a 56% completion percentage to opposing wide receivers. You look at the matchups with this game and why I'm so intrigued with it. Duke wants to run the football. They're really good at it, and Louisville's really good at stopping the run on defense. That's going to be a massive storyline of this game, especially with Riley Leonard. And if you guys have been monitoring that, I couldn't believe he played against Florida State. This dude is just an absolute game, really. You talk about what college football is about. Like, Riley Leonard resembles what you love about college football. Wanted to go back into the game against Florida State. Mike Elko wouldn't let him. I would be surprised if we didn't see Riley Leonard in this game. This is a massive matchup. I think Riley Leonard, if capable and the coaching staff allows him, will be playing in this game. Now, flipping sides, this Louisville offense has its hands full with the Duke defense that I've just been so – every time I turn on the film for this Duke defense, especially in the back end, it's an elite group, right? And Louisville wants to throw the football and hit those explosive plays. This Duke secondary, it'd be hard-pressed to find a better secondary in the country. And it's not chock full with guys who are going to go top 50 in the NFL draft, but how solid they play, it's some next-level stuff. And I think that speaks to Mike Elko and what he's done with this coaching staff and with this defense. Miles Jones, Rivers, Al Blades, Jalen Stinson, Brandon Johnson, all guys that when I watch the film just stand out to me. And you even go back and watch that Florida State game again. When Florida State was hitting some shots through the air, it was just good. It was just good football. Like that type of stuff happens when you're playing a top 5 team in the country. Nothing comes easy against this Duke secondary. And quite frankly, as this defense as a whole, it's averaging 15 points per game given up. That's top 10 in the country. In the secondary, a 58% completion percentage for only 5.4 yards per pass. That's a top 5 mark in the country. Not only are they not allowing you to complete balls on them, they're coming up, tackling, and kind of limiting those explosive plays. Now, what can Louisville do to get after Duke's defense a little bit? I'm leaning towards running the football, right? And this Louisville team, yes, they want to spread you out and throw the ball around, but where they've had the most success is running the football with what I think is one of the best running backs in the ACC in Jawar Jordan, averaging 7.4 yards per carry. I think something that not enough people talk about is how good this offensive line is for Louisville. This offense is the frustrating part with this Louisville offense is it's very kind of hit or miss, right? You've seen performances where it's like this is against Boston College, where they're just ripping off chunk plays, 50-yard plays. And then you see performances against NC State where they just can't get the ball going at all. I think it starts with Jack Plummer. I think there are games where he looks really comfortable and is hitting those explosive plays to a really talented wide receiver room. And then there are games where he just looks uncomfortable, not going through his reads, holding on to the ball too long, taking sacks, turning the ball over. You have to have Jack Plummer playing his best football against this team, especially with how good this Duke secondary is. I think it starts with the run game to take a little pressure off Jack Plummer. But when you're throwing the ball, you got to try to find some of those explosive plays because that is where this Louisville team thrives, right? Jamari Thrash, one of the best wide receivers in the ACC, one of the best deep threats in the ACC. You have guys like Kevin Coleman, Chris Bell. It's a very talented wide receiver room. And what I would like to see Louisville do a little bit more is attack that deeper third. Like when Louisville's at their best, they are attacking, trying to hit explosive plays. And I feel like there are times with this offense where they get away from being aggressive. And that's when this offense, notably in that NC State game, where it kind of suffers. So I'm looking at Louisville, home game against a top 10 defense in the country, get after it. Like, go try to make plays to win this game. Don't shell up. Because if you shell up and don't play aggressive against this Duke team, I think Duke can just smother them on the defensive side of the ball. Getting to the pick here, and this is a hard one. I'll preface with I'm not sure I'm going to be itching to bet this one. Louisville, 4-point favorites at home. Definitely want to see how healthy Riley Leonard is. This is one where if you do want to bet on it, you're monitoring what Riley Leonard looks like in warmups. How healthy does he look? I'm gonna lean Louisville here, coming off a bye where Duke is coming off a really tough loss against Florida State. I like Louisville, kind of a get back spot at home. Certainly wouldn't want to put any money on the 4 points there. I think Louisville has enough and just a little bit more of a complete team on offense and defense to get it done, especially if Riley Leonard is banged up. That being said, I ain't excited to bet against Mike Elko and Riley Leonard because those guys are gamers. They win football games. This is going to be a really fun one at home at Cardinal Stadium, 3:30. I'm fired up for it. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.